the city lights to the country blue, Woody and Lou got the sports for you. From Boston streets to Kentucky's fields, get ready, folks, for the thrill it yields. Woody and Lou, sports and you, talking games, we love it's true. Every play, every score, let's dive in, it's time for more. Lacing up the boots and calling plays, debates and laughs for all the days. From Fenway Park to Derby Run, sports talk magic just begun. Woody Lou, sports and you, sideline stories coming through. Every cheer, heartbeat soar, tune in now, we'll give you more. Celtics screams to Wildcats roar, touchdowns, goals, and so much more. Grab a seat, enjoy the ride, Woody Lou right by your side.
The views expressed by the hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Department of Defense, the U.S. government, or any of its agencies. The information provided is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. No attorney-client relationship is formed by providing this information, and nothing herein should be relied upon as legal counsel. For legal advice specific to your situation, please consult a qualified attorney. Braxton, episode 15, Neon Green, One-Eyed Monsters, Woody Lou, Sports and You, coming at you live. How you been? It's good to see you.
Good, buddy. We've been busy as always. I feel like we're always starting the shows off like that, but things have been going well.
Yeah, I know a 2-week layoff, not ideal, but life comes at you, and we have other priorities. But we're happy to be here this Sunday night live. Before we get into, we have a few ticker topics that I'm looking forward to discussing with you, but a little bit of housekeeping before we get started tonight. First and foremost, I want to wish a happy 5th anniversary to you, Braxton, and producer Kaylee. I know you guys went away for the weekend. I'm very happy for you. 5th year anniversary, very, very exciting. And then a few acknowledgments and then one apology. So first, I want to acknowledge the Mad Hatter, Woody Lou Sports and You's first ever live guest during our last episode. That was an absolute riot and rave reviews from the award-winning listeners. So Mr. Lewis, thank you again for joining us last weekend. And then on a more serious note, since the last time we recorded, there was a horrific event that happened at Fort Stewart. I'm sure everyone heard about it in the news. The shooting of 5 active duty service members. Thank God there was no fatalities, and the accused is in custody and will face justice. So just want to acknowledge that happening. Obviously, Braxton currently stationed at Fort Stewart, and I was there. So to the entire community during that lockdown, our thoughts and prayers were with you. And then lastly, an apology. And this is an apology to Miss Patsy. Miss Patsy, I went down to Broadway today for a little bit of people watching and imbibed a little bit. I know we've been good on the cussing during Woody Lou Sports and You, and I will do my best not to cuss tonight, but no promises. Braxton?
Yeah, we got to keep you in line. Thank you for the 5th anniversary shout out. We got married 5 years ago today in the Oasis Cafe in Clarksville, Tennessee. The Oasis Cafe is conveniently located right next to the county courthouse in Montgomery County, Clarksville. So, Dan, if you ever find yourself finding the one, Mr. Joel Creek, if he's still kicking, he'll do it for a crisp $20 bill, and you might find the one of your dreams like I did. So I appreciate that. And then, yes, the event on Fort Stewart was unfortunate, but thankfully everyone is going to make it out physically okay for the most part. Some psychological impacts there, but we're going to continue on. We're going to be okay. So yeah, it's good to be back. I love that you finally got out onto Broadway. I think it's interesting you picked a radio day to do that, which I really appreciate. Hopefully, I would love nothing more than one time you go out and do people watching, and then we have a potential future Mrs. Woodhouse behind you in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I could go to the Davidson County Courthouse. I'm not. I'll know when I see the one, and there will be. How
many ones did you see today?
There was a few future Mrs. Woodhouses that I I saw today out on Broadway, and future ex Mrs. Woodhouses.
Did you communicate with any of them?
No, it's a big negative.
Okay, you got to start there. Yeah, exchange pleasantries to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, but it was a beautiful day, beautiful Sunday in Nashville. Decided to get out on Broadway, enjoy a 4-day weekend Sunday. So it was fun. I had a very fun time.
Yeah, the 4 days where you get Monday off is always a good time in Nashville to actually enjoy yourself on a Sunday. That's for sure.
So Braxton, you want to get right into the topics, and this was something that you had messaged to me that you I don't want to say demanded, but were very insistent on discussing, and that was the 2025 Little League World Series.
Yes. So this weekend, Kaylee and I did a staycation. We went to Jacksonville, spent 2 nights in Jacksonville, which is only like 2 hours away. So a quick little trip. While we were in the hotel, I turned on the League World Series and I was watching it was New England. I think it was a Massachusetts team representing New England against a Texas team representing the Southwest. The things that I saw, Dan, at every echelon were terrible. First off, you have Carl Ravitch there calling the games, which he's a big deal, especially in baseball announcing. These kids are wearing, and I feel like we've really beat this point, but
we have discussed this ad nauseum, especially with the Mad Hatter.
But these kids are wearing these neon pink and green, like stuff that I would buy my daughter to play softball, but also it's like, men's league softball at the high levels, how they wear just the most gaudy, obnoxious uniforms.
What do you mean by like men's softball at a high level? Like more than like your beer league softball? Like what is high level men's softball?
Like competitive high level men's softball.
Okay.
And I'm not talking just beer league, but you're
talking like ESPN the Ocho men's softball.
Yeah, like Team Mikan, which is a bat brand, versus like Team Easton, and then even below that too, like some of your bigger tournaments across the country. They wear just the most obnoxious outfits, but it's like, it's men's league softball. It's kind of like arena football had really obnoxious uniforms. They'd have something to stick apart. But these kids are wearing all this gear, like they're going to war. And when I texted you, what bugged me the most is all the chains they're wearing. And I get why they're wearing chains, because the big leaguers wear chains, but they're wearing like, they all had a cross necklace and like a bedazzled like friendship looking bracelet around their neck. I'm sure their girlfriends made them or something. But when I played Little League, you couldn't even have jewelry on. I can remember being like a catcher getting told to take off my necklace. And these kids are just on the mound on ESPN, just rocking all this gear, and it just really grinded my gears. And then the coaching was very poor as well. I don't understand why in Little League we're not seeing the ball down. We're not getting secondary leads. We're not grabbing bags. Like, make that catcher show you that he can throw you out and be aggressive. I thought the coaches were pretty timid to be on the big stage in an elimination game.
I'll be honest, I haven't watched much of the Little League World Series. I did watch a lot of the regionals, which is weird. I know that. But I tend to agree that, and I think that it's all part of this new wave of baseball and MLB trying to cater to the younger viewer and get that younger viewer the highlights, like that quick 30-second highlight that we talked about. And my understanding is that at Williamsport, when they get there, they call it like the car wash, and it's just this hall where the players go through, and it's basically that show, the like supermarket sweep, where they get to just pile in like all the gear that they want, and it's all free, which is great. I mean, that's a highlight for them for Williamsport. But it's the combination of MLB, Little League, and they're pumping all this gear and the fashion statements, so to speak.
There's some type of statement. I don't know how much fashion is really involved, but it's just gaudy. And there's this one right fielder. I don't remember if he played for Massachusetts or Texas. He had like the mohawk fade where like he had a rat tail out the back, and he had his oversized glasses with 20 chains and his throw-in sleeve, and just the cockiness just exuding through the television all the way from Pennsylvania to Florida. And I really think baseball is going to be dead once these kids start getting into high school and college and low A ball.
See, I disagree with that. I think it's just kids being kids. And I mean, don't tell me like when you were playing youth ball and high school ball that there were chuckleheads that were sporting the mohawk and the absurd, and they didn't make it anywhere. But it always happens. Each generation is. Go ahead.
My high school had the New York Yankees clean cut policy in place.
Interesting.
Yeah, we were in AR 670-1 appliance like in high school baseball.
Who is your coach? First sergeant?
No, he got fired after my senior season, but yeah. So I got real, like, me being sporty was wearing a 3/4 sleeve with wrist tape, white in color. That was me being
white in color wrist tape. What about those cologne necklaces that you gave to the women?
That died after like 8th grade year. I wore one. I didn't have 20 that were all pink. I didn't have a pink one. You know what I'm saying? I had gray, black, white, normal colors for a man to sport.
That's fair. But no, I disagree. I don't think baseball is dead. I think that these are kids being kids, and they're they're gonna push the envelope when it comes to fashion and statements.
As we're talking fashion statements in sports, I can't read the chat. I can see it, can't read it. I'm wondering if Trooper Mac's in the chat, because Trooper Mac it looks like all the regions, like police agencies, had a basketball tournament. And I saw pictures of Trooper Mac in his basketball uniform with a headband, like a keep your hair back headband. But Trooper Mac
not a sweatband.
No, not a sweatband. But Trooper Mac does not have hair on his head, so if he wanted to defend himself in the chat.
Trooper Mac is in the chat, and I'll read through some of the chat. And once again, our award-winning listeners appreciate you being here tonight. But we do have Trooper Mac in the chat. And he's talking first about men's softball is crazy competitive in Florida, and that we also had him at the oversized glasses. And then also Mason McGregor in the chat saying that the haircut policy in high school baseball was a must, emphatically.
Yeah. You had kids dyeing their hair bleach blonde, just looking like fools.
Would you be... what would you feel if your co-host spray painted his hair green for high school baseball?
If you were in the playoffs or some sort of postseason, I could waive it.
Yeah, it was 6th grade. We were in the playoffs.
Okay. Now, if it's just like game 2 against the Diamondbacks, then what are we doing?
It's funny you say that. I was on the Diamondbacks 5th and 6th grade. And 6th grade, I was Little League Lexington Major League champion.
What position?
I was a bit of a utility guy, played mostly third base and left field. Leadoff hitter.
Leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
Did you always watch the first ball, or did you ever go up there swinging?
Oh, I made them work. I was Moneyball before Billy Bean and the A's. I work counts. I got
You
a lot
found a
of
way to
walks.
get on.
That was my job. I was supposed to get on, and I think I had one of the highest on base percentages on the team, and I started. Actually, it's not true. Never mind. The rally it went to extras, and the rally was started by Garth Goldwater, continued by Stephen Hogan, our final batter, and then I advanced the game-winning run to third base.
My freshman year of high school, if the stat still stands, it's what I was told by the head coach at the time. I broke the high school record for on base percentage as a freshman, and I had 34 hit by pitches in a freshman year of high school baseball season.
34 times.
34 times.
Yeah, I believe that you had the highest on base percentages. That's insane. You were hit. I am like flabbergasted by that statistic.
And I was an open stance lefty hitter, not crowding the plate, so I wasn't crowding or anything. The ball found me a lot.
You weren't moving.
No, I wore it. My nickname was Wear It there for a while.
Wear It? I like that. Well, that's like Stephen Hogan. Stephen Hogan, he was batting in on deck going into the extra innings, and coach told him, "Hey, Stephen, if now's the one to take one for the team, now's the time." And he just leaned into that. Wear It. We do have producer Kaylee in the chat. Didn't you all do mustaches in high school?
You could have the mustache only. It was the only facial hair you could have, but it was like Army standards where it had to be.
It had to be. Couldn't go past the creases.
No, you couldn't Raleigh fingers it or anything like that. That was the only facial hair you were authorized with a mustache. It was literally the Yankees.
I was going to say you guys were legitimately run by Steinbrenner.
Yeah, and we blew it in the playoffs, so that's pretty on par, at least for not last year, but prior to for a while.
And also in the chat, well, welcome back to Tony from Weymouth. He said, next time, Woody, you are on Broadway, please keep an eye out for my credit card. Will do. And half of the players in the Little League World Series are like Albert Pujols. They're in their 20s. Any comment on that, Braxton? Your observations of the Little League World Series?
There was a kid. I watched that Massachusetts Texas game. There was a kid on one of the teams. He was like 5'9", 110 pounds, and he got hit by a ball, like got deflected off the plate into his shin, and it looked like you just like shot a giraffe the way the kid fell. And I told Kaylee, I was like, I'd call him Stilts. If I was his coach, I'd be Stilts. I'd be saying, Stilts, get up, dude. Stilts. The ball, it was a 50-mile-per-hour ball. But that one kid for, I think it's Taiwan, maybe. He's like throwing 82 from.
Yeah.
They pitched from what, 50 inches or 50 feet?
No, they're
40 feet.
Standards, 60.6 inches. So they're probably like 30 something.
He's throwing 82 from there.
Yeah, that's got to be the equivalent of like 106.
Yeah, nuts.
Reaction time.
Well, I'll tell you this: the foreign teams, the teams not from America, are dressed like ball players. Yeah, so I think, and that's a shame considering it's supposed to be America's pastime. We're just making a mockery of it.
Again, I'm gonna say I think it's just kids being kids.
There's this meatball kid. He played second base. This kid was probably, I think he was 4'11", 4'10", about $160.
He'll thin out. It's got to grow.
I told Kaylee, I was like, that's the fattest second baseman I've ever seen. He's like a little bowling ball out there. You're telling me you're not going to steal? You got a lefty batter up. You're not stealing, or a righty batter. You're not stealing all day on that kid.
He's not passing height weight.
Make him get to the bag.
Yeah,
he didn't get in a second.
Is he going to pass height weight?
No. And their swing speed looks terrible. I don't know. Like, I feel like I swung a bat a lot faster when I was that age. I don't know if they're like using bats that are too heavy for them, but the swings are in slow motion. I mean, I cussed a lot of children this weekend.
We have Jack defending himself in the chat. In reference to the headband, it's made by Junk, Junk, and they are for sweating, not just hair. It worked 10 out of 10. Ball people sweat like crazy in the typical sweatband. That I don't know what this says. That R and them wear is just mid.
Well, Junk is a sponsor of Brendan Donovan,
Nice.
unofficial friend of the program. Yeah.
I would say friend of the program.
Trooper Mac, whenever you hear this, I know we're on a little bit of delay. I'd love to know how many points you're averaging. Like, give me a little stat line on average for the tournament.
Yeah, we'll wait for Trooper Mac to reply on that, and I think that's a great segue to actually the topic that we overlooked. We were supposed to lead off, and that was WNBA and the Braxton bets that we spoke about in a previous episode about the color of a certain item, foreign object thrown on the court.
Yeah, so they stuck with the odds-on favorite, the neon green, which makes me think they weren't gambling on it, because if you're gambling on it, you probably would have went for a little lower odds and cashed that out. We had 3 more from our last recording get thrown.
I believe
2 or
so.
3.
Yep.
And I'll say this, my tone has shifted. When we talked about it the first time, I thought it was funny. I thought it was objectively like, that's funny. But with all things, too much can be too much. And
they killed it. It's not funny anymore. It's obnoxious.
They killed it. It's not funny anymore. And it's like, now it has kind of crossed the line to being disrespectful. You do it once, haha, do it twice, okay. But the 3rd, 4th, 5th time, just give it up. It's inappropriate. Women shouldn't have to go through that on the court. They're already getting paid less than we are, so just don't throw them that.
Now, too, they're talking about throwing up these fences or mesh screens. Have you ever seen Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze?
It's foul ball territory.
Yeah. Well, it's. Have you seen Roadhouse? It's like the Roadhouse bar where it's so rowdy. Like the band has chicken wire up, so when people are throwing bottles at them, it smashes on the chicken wire, and that's basically what we have going on in the WNBA.
Well, and the worst part is they were going through bags, so they were checking bags, and these things still slipped in, no pun intended, to the competitive event.
They were smuggled in. These one-eyed monsters just somehow, some way, probably taped to a leg, were smuggled into these arenas.
That makes me. Have you seen the police video when the guy was patting the dude down and he said, "What's this?" Because he thought he had something in his pocket. He said, "No, dude, that's mud."
But do you and we talked about that? I think you sent me the initial article from NBC about how a meme coin or whatever they're called, the e-coin, they claimed responsibility for the objects thrown onto the court. And I joked to you, I was like, what is this? Did Al Qaeda just claim responsibility for these attacks?
I was in my car and you sent me that response. You said, what is this? Al Qaeda claiming? They want the credit. This was our doing.
That's what it sounded like. That was how the article was written.
We did. We were behind this.
Yeah. It's Al Jazeera reporting. We claim responsibility for the sex toys.
NBC News, Al Jazeera, not much difference there.
We do have a response from Trooper Mac. He went 0 for 2, so it sounds like only 2 field goal attempts, but had 20 minutes of the game time with about 6 assists and 4 rebounds. So supporting role player, Trooper Mac.
Yeah, the real Brian Scalabrine of his squad, from skin tone to ability.
White Mamba. So, he's a champion.
You gotta have that guy on the roster. Selfless.
And Trooper Max says, AR, Austin Reeves, Lakers, tapped. Maybe not tapped. Old prison purse. I might be able to tap Trooper Mac. I apologize not having the Austin Reeves reference.
Yeah, that's on you. We'll have an NBA podcast one day.
I mean, well, we'll get into it too. I'm kind of off the rails right now, but KSR and Matt Jones. I mean, we might as well be like primed for an NBA podcast. Woody Lewis Sports and you, Ballas.
He's starting this podcast, Dan, and he starts it like next week or the week after, and he's going to South Africa for a month during football season.
What's he doing in South Africa? Like a safari?
He's a part of this fellowship group where it's a bunch of like scholars across all political lines go to places in the world and be nerds. So he's doing that, but he extended his trip and he booked this travel agency that's for single people between the ages of 30 and 50. And he's really proud of the fact that he's going to be with a group of 10 people and he's the only man and the rest are women. But he's also really scared they're going to be on a convoy and the tire's going to like shatter and he has to change the tire because he doesn't know how. But yeah, so he gets an NFL show, then he just goes to South Africa for a month, misses 4 weeks of football.
Is he going to be like FaceTiming into his show?
I don't know. Who knows?
And well, speaking of Matt Jones and KSR, this was something he sent to me since we last recorded, and it made zero sense. I don't understand Twitter, but somehow we got involved in a Kentucky Sports Radio tiff.
So let me set the stage. Alan Cutler, his name's Alan Cutler.
Mm-hmm.
He has covered Kentucky for like 50 years. He's in his 70s. So he's covered all these basketball, football teams. He's a staple. He is like, I mean, Matt Jones would be mad if I said he's the godfather of like UK reporting almost. He has a book called Cut to the Chase that he was able to do really well on because he had all the inside stories. Like he's been at the center of all UK athletic drama for forever now.
Okay.
So he has a radio show. So big deal in Kentucky, right?
Yep.
He has a radio show. And he pretty much said something he took a shot at Matt Jones, just essentially saying Matt Jones, like, you can listen to him, but just know he doesn't really know what he's talking about. Right? So that gets back. Matt hears it. He starts attacking Cutler. So I turn into Cutler's show. And I never listened to a show, trying to do a show. And he's talking, and he's like, look, Matt Jones is all, pissy, blah, blah. All I said was he doesn't know sports, which he admits to. And if you know sports and you listen to him talk about sports, you know he doesn't know sports. So anyway.
That's like, I mean, we talked about this. That's like widely known about his show.
So their shows are going back and forth. And I tweeted from our account, like, thank you to Matt Jones for putting me on to Alan Cutler's show. It's a lot better, or something like that. Alan Cutler then retweets that, quote tweets it, and is like using it as fuel to the fire of like, we're trending up. I was able to get some followers from that. We got right in the middle of it. And then Matt Jones then goes on KSR and says, there's these accounts on Twitter who feel emboldened by like our drama to get their like name out there. So like kind of like talked about us in a way.
Did you take a shot at Woody Lewis Sports and you?
I think he took like a slight at us. Like he kind of threw a jab without naming us.
Okay.
But we do fit the criteria of a no-name account that is in the interest of getting.
You're definitely a no-name account.
And we would love some traffic. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll side with them. And he didn't say anything wrong.
No. I mean, like they say, all press is good press. So Matt Jones, keep us in your mouth.
I was really hoping he was going to like tune into our last show and see that we talked about him for an hour, and just so he could hear my dad's comments on it.
The Mad Hatter. And speaking of the Lewis family, Miss Amy Lewis, I did not forget you. She mentioned P.F. Chang's Wednesday nights. I don't really know what that means, but I assume it has to do with like Wednesday night Mai Tais.
I can fill you in. So
okay.
No. Their Mai Tai specials are on weekends. Kaylee and I went to P.F. Chang's while we were down there in Jacksonville. I've never been to a P.F. Chang's. Kaylee swore about it.
Yeah.
So
the lettuce wraps are fantastic.
So we go to P.F. Chang's for my first time. And P.F. Chang's has Wednesday night, ladies' night, where they serve half-priced bottles of of wine.
Oh, that's
So
pretty
we were
good.
just thinking maybe you should find your local PF Chang's and on Wednesdays just happen to belly up there and maybe buy a group of young women a half price bottle of wine or
Okay.
two.
Yeah, I like PF Chang's. I'm not sure if future Mrs. Woodhouse will be frequenting PF Chang's for half off a bottle of wine, but hey, beggars can't be choosers.
No, they cannot, Dan.
No, they
And
cannot.
yeah,
Um,
so
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, knowing yourself is very important in times like these.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Trooper Mac is asking, what's the Twitter handle? And I think that's for the Adam Cutler show. If you wouldn't mind, producer Kaylee, can you send in the chat the Twitter handle for the Adam Cutler show?
So ours is the live. We're Woody Lou Sports on Twitter. Woody Lou LEW Sports. Alan Cutler is Cutler18 CUTLER 18.
He's got to do.
And,
He needs a better marketer and brander. That's not great.
Well, he's 70. He engaged with us. He retweeted us and then quoted a tweet off of our tweet. He even screenshotted our tweet and then posted with it.
Can you tweet at him if he wants to come on the show?
If we got Alan Cutler on the show, that'd be a pretty big deal, and he'd be more of like a mentor where I'd just be like, "How can you help us?"
Absolutely.
Could you imagine? What if Alan Cutler used us as the young up and comers to move into Lexington and start a turf war with KSR?
So we would be his Little League World Series for going up against Matt Jones.
We'd be his lieutenants essentially.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, we're his lieutenants. We're on the ground making it happen for him, and like we're causing a turf war.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Now, speaking of turf war, again, I'm on fire tonight with these transitions. Let's get into fair or foul. First, fair or foul, Braxton. This is in the world of golf, and we're in the midst of the FedEx playoff, but also looking ahead to the Ryder Cup. And Captain America, Keegan Bradley, he wants his Ryder Cup players playing in a tune-up event, which would be it's in Napa. I'm blanking on the name of the Procore Championship, and all of the USA team members right now that have qualified are PGA members, but Bryson DeChambeau is on LIV, and because he's on LIV, he's suspended from all PGA Tour events and therefore cannot play in the Procore. Fair or foul?
Foul, because this has anti-America undertones by not allowing a team member representing their country to play a tune-up with the team is wrong. Now the PGA stance is going to be they decided to go and take Saudi Arabian money and leave the PGA Tour to do so, to deepen their pockets. But I would say back to them that golfers are independent contractors and they were offered a better deal, and really LIV was more willing to create a league that was more servicing to what the top of the line player wants out of their tour. And the PGA just can't get over that. And, I don't know if it's going to have to be like legal proceedings or what. Like, they have to get past it. They need to converge. I don't understand, just like with the DP World Tour, there's all these other tours that these people participate in and still maintain PGA Tour status. So, and if you look at the LIV schedule, their schedule is not that long, and it's not every weekend typically.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't see a reason why, as independent contractors, a golfer could not participate in both the LIV and PGA Tour as long as they met their required minimums. Same with the DP World Tour, because now the people who are on LIV are going to have to figure out how to make DP World Tour work, since they're not going to get their fines paid for anymore out of pocket from the LIV owners.
And we're on the same page, Braxton. I also think it's foul. And the reason being, I think it would have been fair a few years ago, like 2021, 2022, when LIV first came on the scene, But in 2023, PGA and Live, at least my understanding was they came to like an agreement on a merger, but that's kind of stalled for the past 2 years, and like we really don't know what's going on with that. But like they've agreed to like coexist. So the fact that like Bryson's still suspended from PGA events is foul in my book, especially like leading up to the Ryder Cup. It's on home soil where the U.S. has had great success over the past 10 years when we play away. It's questionable, but got to defend home turf. And I think all the USA players are on board for him to be a part of the team, play with the team in the warm up event. But to be fair, he has not requested, at least the research I've done, he's not requested like a sponsor exemption. So it's also on his camp too. I do think ultimately I think he will play in the Pro Core.
What I read was him obtaining the sponsor exemption was not an issue. He was pretty much told you will be sponsor exempt, but it's the PGA Tour coming over the top saying, okay, regardless of the exemption, you're still ineligible to participate in PGA Tour. And I don't know why. This just shows you it has to be for just their stubborn stance, because if it wasn't for them just being stubborn and saying he can't play, they could come to an agreement where he agrees to not take any award proceedings. He doesn't take any purse earnings from where he plays, because it is truly just an opportunity for him to play golf alongside his teammates outside of an actual major in competition.
I agree. And I think, it's for like Jay Monahan and PGA to be that like hard-nosed stubborn. That's totally foul. And I agree with you. Like if it means like, oh, you can't take any like purse money, like donate it to, some charity, probably like,
Sure.
Go to Amnesty International, human rights. That would be very appropriate given PIF and Saudi Arabia's record on human rights. We won't get into that. This is not a political show. Would he lose sports in you? But no, both agree. Foul. Or foul, not fair. Foul. Moving on to the next fair or foul, Braxton, and this gets into college football and a recent ruling coming down from the NCAA relating to the University of Michigan Wolverines football program and their sign stealing scandal. Now, are you aware of the specifics of the sanctions imposed?
I'll tell you what I understand, and you can fill me in.
Yep.
I understand there's a $20 million fine towards the University of Michigan, alongside all a percentage. I don't know if it was worked in that $20 million, but a percentage of their postseason earnings are also going to be taken. They gave a 10-year show cause to Jim Harbaugh, 10-year show cause to Connor Stallions. They added an additional game suspension to Sharon Moore. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yep, head coach.
Because the school already did a 2-game, they imposed an additional 1 game. And that was really it. It was just financial, really.
Yeah, you're spot on. It was $20 million in fines, potential for $30 million, and really where that's coming from is 10% of the football budget, and then the loss of postseason revenue, like you said. There are some recruiting restrictions, reductions in official visits, and some texting messages to potential recruits, and then obviously the show cause, as you mentioned. But importantly, they're not forfeiting any games, so they are still your 2023 national champions. And there's really no other sanctions or penalties other than that.
Well, so the reason they didn't vacate wins, because for the NCAA to vacate wins, you have to prove that an ineligible player participated in the games that were won.
Mm-hmm.
Given the nature of why this fine or punishment was given to Michigan, it was not due to any actual players being ineligible. You see that in cases of illegal recruiting practices, money being exchanged. Obviously, it's a lot harder to prove that with NIL. So no players were really at fault. It was just as a top-down ordeal. I understand not wanting to impose postseason bans given the players who are on the roster now did not have anything to do with it. However, I think it does set a pretty bad precedent because it shows that you can go and do whatever you want. You can win a national championship and then run off to another job outside of the NCAA. And this affects Jim Harbaugh zero. Unless you're the attorney, like, I don't know if in the future schools working things in the contracts where if a coach is to leave and then gets carried up on NCAA violations, like they owe a stake of the payback of I don't know, restitution, but I don't know. Jim Harbaugh, I just don't like him. I don't like the way University of Michigan operates, and I feel like $20 million is a slap in the wrist in this state of college football. And just the Michigan brand in general, that $20 million can be found very quickly. And there's really just it's really just them saying they did something, in my opinion.
I think you're spot on. And I mean, this is a slap on the wrist. And I think every Michigan fan would say that this sanction was worth every single penny if sign stealing, if it actually did contribute to that national championship season. And hard to it's hard they were a really good team. They were a really good team. It's hard to say if they weren't sign stealing, if they still would have, won the games that they did in 2023. But I think the fact that the NCAA just, gave them like a light tap on the bottom, Michigan fans will all day, every day say, yeah, that was absolutely worth it.
Yeah, and it brings into question, too, about sign stealing in general. On face value, I'm not against sign stealing if you do it in a morally straight way. Morally straight would be defined here as picking up sideline calls given open source information. So if you can identify calls being made by being on the sideline of your game, or if you turning on ESPN, and if it's open source and you can gather that, I think that's just you being a savant and understanding some nuance in the sport that you're participating in. If you do it, in a immoral way by putting on different teams' uniform and finding your way onto the sideline of a field and doing it that way, it gets a little murky. But
yeah, did you watch? Did you watch that Netflix documentary?
I did.
Yeah, and I mean, I think exactly like you're saying. Like, it seems like it started as like Connor Stallions. Like, he was just really, really good at exactly what you talked about, like the open source, like, really dissecting tape and like reading signs and knowing what signs meant, and also just interpreting signs that he didn't know for certain, but like probability stated like this is probably what they're signaling in. And then he was so good at it. It devolved into like, I got to keep on providing this like high level like product intelligence for my team. And then it waded into the waters of like, I mean, some weird stuff, like him ending up on the sidelines of like Central Michigan wearing a Chippewas hat like that. It got to be insane.
That's where it gets weird. And I don't know, the podcast or the documentary probably hit on it, but in high school, you see it as simple as if you're playing in a basketball tournament or a baseball tournament, like your coaches will stay and watch the other two teams play, and they're looking for that. And I don't see a problem with that, as long as, let's say, that's what they're hired for. So if you have if your organization has someone on the payroll whose like job description is scouting coordinator, like scouting can be all encompassing. In my opinion, that can be encompassing players to come to your program. You can gather that in the area of the transfer portal by going to games. If while at games you are able to, in the seat that you're provided, that you purchased, pick up on things, like that's fair game, because you should be changing this week to week.
Yep.
So I don't have an issue with it, but like you said, I think with the Connor Stallions thing, it grew legs and started running. It outpaced what they were ready for, and then the stakes were so high for Jim Harbaugh and the trajectory of that program that some lines were probably crossed that took away the sanctity and the moral righteousness of that part of the game.
Yeah, and we got a listener, contribution from the chat, Trooper Mac. His question, I mean, is it that big of a deal? Even though you still steal signs, you still got to have the talent to do something about it. Like, what are your thoughts on your second base runner calling pitches to the batter?
No issues with that because that's part of the game. If you have someone on second base, catcher and pitcher you should already have something worked into place of how you switch up your signs. You can do that a myriad of ways. It can be the first, it can be the last. You can throw down. They've gotten away from that now with the pitch comm, so it's kind of gone away where they can just call in the pitches. But back in the day, someone was on second base or someone was on third and they had a left-handed hitter, or first and they had a right-handed hitter. You'd see some crazy stuff get thrown. No issues with that. I think, like we said, the issue becomes whenever you find yourself, compromising your position in whatever team you're representing in order to gather certain information, a la wearing different teams' school attire and being on the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, if pitchers tipping pitches, that's on the pitcher. That's what they work on in the minors, and I mean, there's been a few, at least this season, a little bit of not controversy, but animosity between teams, and the pitcher tipping pitches, the offensive team recognizing that and making it known. To me, that's totally fair. Like if you're not being subtle or deceptive in your gameplay, that's on you.
Yeah, and in football, you have a scout team for a reason. These coaches are paid to break down your last year to 2 years of film, create a playbook to which your scout team runs on both sides of the ball to understand what coverage needs to be called or what play to attack this coverage, whatever it is. That's part of the game. So it's a weird gray line. And I think what doesn't help the situation is the NCAA's handling it. And I think the NCAA has really used up all of their goodwill and credit they built up with fans. So anything the NCAA does, no matter what, is always going to be reached with a level of skepticism that's going to be hard for them to break out of.
Yeah. And this is a question I'll pose to you. Michigan being a blue blood of college football. Now, if this is like Temple University, you think the penalty is the same?
No, NCAA makes that up as they go.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Selection Sunday or anything. The NCAA is going to create the result and then validate the result based on what they come up with. So there's nothing set in stone. There's no there might be, actually, I don't know this, but I don't think they necessarily follow a federal sentencing guidelines, if you will. I think it's a very case by case basis, and it just depends on.
There is no federal. No, it's NCAA bylaws, which are totally arbitrary, and that's what Michigan's actually appealing. They're appealing the decision because the decision, their argument is, goes against NCAA bylaws, and I'm kind of speaking out of what, because I have no idea what NCAA bylaws are, and there's so many, and they probably change every month, but I think it's totally arbitrary.
It is 100% is. And I think, but this is a good example. I believe we might be away from the world of the NCAA handing out quote unquote death penalties to these schools.
I think you're right. I think the money is too much, especially for these blue bloods, and they've probably gotten a little too big for the game, unfortunately.
But yeah, no, I agree.
Well, speaking of sanctions, we had a prelude to this in an earlier episode, talking about fantasy football. Commissioner Lewis, I did see that you set the draft date for our fantasy football league, where Gavin, award-winning listener Gavin's the defending champion of the belt, for Sunday, August 31st. And this is now our conversation of if we should impose a penalty for the worst finisher in fantasy football.
Yeah, so we added 3 new teams. So right now we're sitting at 13 organizations within our league. I don't know if that's going to stay at 13. I've been reaching out to some of the owners to see if they're going to maintain their status within the league. But we're at 13 right now. Draft is slated for August 31st, that Sunday following the first week 1 of college football. I like to do it later like that, Daniel, because Thursday night football will kick off football season. I like to do it when postseason and rosters are completely finalized and most injuries are, what's going to be happening with the injuries.
Yeah. It's got to be
Now,
after preseason ball.
Yeah, and I like it a little more. I just give it some time to marinate, if you will. So as far as the punishment goes, with our 13 teams, we have people in the states ranging from Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia, Florida, Alabama. Is that it?
We really covered the SEC.
Oh, and DC.
Okay.
So we have people participating all across the Southeast.
Yes.
When you think of a fantasy football punishment, I feel like everyone needs to be in on it for it to work. And I'll be honest with you, I've been struggling with us being so dislocated, how we merge the dislocation into a suitable punishment.
So you want like people to be witness to it? Is that what your concern is?
I feel like that's the most enjoyable if everyone can witness the punishment.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of like my 2020 COVID brain is trying to figure out how we can do something that's entertaining for the league and fair to the loser while we're all not co-located.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a balance with the punishment. And as you know, I was punished by one of my leagues in having to take the SAT as a 34-year-old man. Very embarrassing, a complete waste of my Saturday, but I did get a scholarship to the University of Georgia, so it wasn't all bad.
I know, and I love that idea, and but it almost is like, how much more fun would that be if we all went out that Friday night and went on a bender and then made them go in that Saturday morning to take the test after being, something like that.
Well, I think that it should probably be like a punishment reunion. Like instead of doing like an in-person draft, we meet up for the end of the season where Gavin can finally get his trophy and also impose the punishment.
Yeah, producer Kaylee's worked on the trophy. Yeah, I like that. I need to see how the roster is going to shake out. I think we're all close enough in theory for it to work. Our 2 Virginia outliers might be, they might throw a wrench in things, but we could definitely find a central location for us to congregate. And I don't want it to be all financial. I mean, you could say, hey, the loser.
So I generated a list of punishments, of popular punishments, and I think we've spoken about a few of these. So I want to get your take on a few of these. So you're familiar with the Waffle House challenge, right?
Yes, it sounds terrible.
Is that something you would want to impose? Fair or foul?
If we were all together, fair.
Okay. This one I kind of like, and I think it's very, very funny. A calendar photo shoot. So the loser has to do a themed photo shoot by a professional photographer, and everyone in the league gets a calendar.
Oh, I love that actually. That's the number one for me right now.
Okay.
Because you could do that located anywhere, and all it's gonna take is you, and we could all chip in on it, and then you just have to. We would all just pay for our shipping to our home address so that we can then display this calendar in our offices or garage. That's number one for me.
I like that one. Now this one's a little permanent. Tattoo of the winner's choice.
I feel like our league needs to be in existence for 10 plus years before we throw around tattoos.
Okay. Open mic night. So loser has to sign up to do stand-up comedy at an open mic.
If we could get 80% of the owners there, yes.
Yep. I think that's definitely an in-person one. And then another one that was a popular one would be like a lawn sign or billboard where the loser has to prominently display in their yard a sign of the winner's choice.
That'd be cool. You could do that not being together.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty set. I really like the calendar idea.
Yeah. We do have some chatter in the chat. Trooper Mac on the 999 challenge, link up at a baseball game. So that would be a group thing. And then producer Kaylee, I think this might be in reference to the calendar. I feel like that could be inappropriate with the women in the group.
How?
Tongue-tied, Braxton.
Yeah, well, because when you said calendar, I wasn't thinking like a Playboy calendar. I wasn't thinking.
No.
Now,
and again, I don't.
Fun.
Yeah, she is referring to the calendar. I was thinking, have you seen like the movie Neighbors with Seth Rogen, like that end credit scene with like the baby, and like it was so funny. Like they had their like little baby like dressed up as like movie scenes, and like one was like as Breaking Bad with like the drug lab outfit.
Now I mean, you could make it to where it's PG if you know. If a woman came in last place, like we wouldn't have them out there like it's a Maxim shoot. My head went to no. It would be funny though if like Trooper Mac lost, like having him do like a firefighters, you know, like the if he I'm sure he knows a firefighter.
The volunteer firefighter charity calendar.
Yeah, like that'd be funny, you know, like incorporate some hoses in the truck, you know, that'd be funny. Some suds maybe.
We have a good one from Tony from Weymouth, the George Costanza posing photo in his underwear. That would not be friendly to the women in the league, but that would be absolutely hysterical. You've seen that one when he's on the couch?
Yes. I would enjoy, even if you just went to you know, like the old timey photos, like you could do something. You could find something.
I think we can make it tasteful, but just make it like you gotta go to like sign up for a professional photographer.
Where do you do that at? I feel like you used to be able to do that in like Walmart, and that's gone away.
It's definitely not. Well, I shouldn't say definitely, but I'm like it's no longer like your mall like photographer, but I have to imagine like they still do like professional photographs for like yearbooks and like there are places. People still do this.
I would love to have this in my office.
Producer Kaylee, the classic, the 90s family photo people do at JCPenney, with like the lasers in the background. Like that's exactly what we're thinking.
That's PG. That's fine. That's what, Is
that the front runner?
Yeah, but I do think Trooper Mac, if he lost and had to do like a firefighter shoot, that would be absolute gold.
Well, he's saying he lives in an HOA and can't do the sign. So, Trooper Mac, if you lose, you will be doing a sexy firefighter calendar shoot.
I'm sure FHP will love that. I'm excited for football.
That's what we got for Fair or Foul plus Fantasy Football League sanctions. Moving on to our last scheduled topic, football. Football's back, Braxton. We are less than, I think, 6 days away from meaningful football for the next 24 weeks with the college football kickoff. Let's get into predictions.
Yeah, I mean, so week 0 kind of rocks. You got the Saturday matchup between Iowa State and Kansas State. It's 2 top 25 teams. I think that one's out in Ireland. Same thing they did last year with Florida State, Georgia Tech. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, Aviva Stadium, Dublin, Ireland, 11 a.m. Iowa State, Kansas State, top 25 matchup.
Yeah, and then so it's going to start off with a bang, good little appetizer. Week 1's going to be great. Week 1 you're seeing the majority of the big teams. Texas is an underdog to Ohio State. The first time a number one ranked team is going to be an underdog starting off the season. Yeah, Syracuse, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida State. News coming out today that Alabama's star running back is hurt, so they'll be without him presumably. LSU, Clemson is the first time Brian Kelly's going to get a week one win for the
the Battle of Death Valleys. I disagree. I think Clemson's going to beat LSU.
Well, that'll be a good one. And then that Sunday, you also got Virginia Tech, South Carolina. A lot of storylines there with Shane Beamer and the history of his dad. And then your Irish will be headed down to Miami to play the Hurricanes.
That's right. So, yeah.
Football is coming quick, and I like with scheduling the way they did it. I think you're going to see a lot of fireworks, and I think, Texas, Ohio State, that'll be a trendsetter. I really hope, though, these week one marquee matchups don't taint or oversaturate the expectations for some of these teams given, week one results.
Well, I think with the 12-team playoff that it's fun, and I like how they're stacking week one with some marquee matchups, but it's not going to matter at all when it comes to the final CFP ranking.
Yeah, and the college football playoff's still up in the air. The same thing, March Madness just got voted down, but they're always looking to expand it. But this 12-team system, I'm excited. I'm really interested. I don't want to spend all of our time here, but SEC is closest to my heart. I'm really, really curious
at how conference.
I'm curious to see how SEC is going to shake out. I think the SEC is going to run through Texas and be fully dependent on how good of a quarterback Archie Manning is. If he's not the Manning that they expect, I would anticipate seeing another Georgia run.
Yeah, I agree. That's my bold prediction. It sounds pretty chalky, but I think we're going to see Georgia in the national championship and making a run at being the college football 2025 national champion.
Yeah, they got questions at quarterback. But Kirby Smart's always going to have a great defense. He just needs all Kirby Smart needs is a serviceable offense, and they'll complement his defense. Texas, I just have questions about Texas. Quinn Ewers last year, Archie got in some as Quinn was going through some injuries and whatnot. But if Archie was that good, I would like to think he would have played maybe even more over Quinn Ewers last year. So we'll see what he has, But I tend to lean with you. I'm not fully bought in on Texas yet. I'm still going to lean Georgia for the SEC champions.
And I think the stat that I was most intrigued by that I heard listening to the radio earlier today was of the top 10 AP teams right now. So we have Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, LSU, and Miami. 6 of those have first-time starting quarterbacks. That does include Carson Beck. That doesn't really count because he's been, an experienced quarterback for Georgia, but he's starting for the first time for Miami. So really 5.
Yeah. Former Kentucky offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson down there in Miami, he's already tooting his horn thinking he has another number 1 overall draft pick behind center. I'm not sold on Carson Beck.
I'm not sold on him at all.
He goes down to Miami just to cheat on his girlfriends, and now he's just
allegedly.
When you think of teams that just don't do it for me, and I don't care if there was a number 1 next to their name, Miami's that team for me. I think even more so for just the Miami brand, just the ACC, I just have so little faith in the Atlantic Coast Conference every year that
the Davos.
The Davo. You cannot convince me the ACC is going to be a real contender come, the Final 8, Final 4 of the college football playoff.
Now, does the presence of this is something we haven't spoken about, but Bill Belichick up in Chapel Bill, with his his special friend Jordan. Maybe not this year, but does UNC become relevant?
No.
Hard
Well,
no
it
from
depends on what
Braxton.
depends on what relevant is to you. Relevant in the sense of where Bill Belichick could lead them to an 8 or 9 win season, and that'd be a big story
I would
because
say
Bill
competing
Belichick.
for ACC championship and a automatic berth in the playoff.
No,
Okay.
no. I don't have their season over under in front of me, but if it's at 7.5 or 6.5, I'm taking the under.
I think it's a great storyline. Like I will be watching UNC games because of Bill Belichick.
The ACC is weird, man. You know, with SMU, Louisville, Clemson, Miami,
FSU.
just those. Well, Mark Norvell and FSU, I'm not convinced on them at all. Georgia Tech's trending. I think Georgia Tech was picked 4th or 5th. I don't think. How long does Bill have to even get this team where he wants it? You know, like how long is Bill going to be there? Because you're not going
The
to
question
flip
is like,
North
what else
Carolina.
is UNC going to do? Right? Like, I
They're
think he
going to
has
go
a pretty long leash.
Yeah, they're going to go 7-5 or 6-6, and he makes it to the Valero Bowl, and it is what it is.
All right,
But
bold prediction, and this is a long way off, but I think within 3 years, Bill Belichick has UNC at 10 wins, competing for ACC championships and playing in Orange Bowls.
and he might, Dan, but I don't think that's really a testament to him doing anything special.
Okay.
I mean, look at how many times has Louisville went in to play Kentucky in Week 12, and they were, 9-2 or 8-3 or 10-1, and they lose to a mediocre SEC school. I'm not buying it. Not buying that stock.
Well, I understand. Yeah, when it comes to like the interleague play, the SEC is the gold standard of college football. So yeah, ACC team, I would say, more likely than not, going to get knocked down by an SEC school, but that doesn't mean that UNC is not going to be competing for playoff positions.
You're correct. Agreed.
Okay. Now, before we sign off, let's get into who is your Heisman pick.
On the spot here. So, this is without a thorough roster deep dive. If I'm being completely honest, and I'll just stick in the SEC. Like I said, I wouldn't buy Archie Manning stock right now, but in the sense of voters, because you got to think about who votes for this.
Yep.
If Archie Manning has a 4,000 yards, would be locked, but if he has a 3,500 yard plus season,
he's going to rush for a lot too. He's got legs.
If he had like a 3,500 and 500 yard season with a manageable record of 10-2 or higher, I don't see a world where the voters don't go with him, just solely because of the name and
name recognition.
And this could be his only season in college football.
And no Manning has won the Heisman. I feel like the third generation will get it done.
I think bias is something you have to acknowledge.
We got Philly Mike OG in the chat talking about Terry McLaurin, a Kansas City Chief. They traded 2 firsts. No way. I'm not quite sure what.
They just do that?
That might be breaking news on Woody Lou Sports and You from Philly Mike OG.
So obviously, former producer Colin, more on him later. Terry McLaurin Stan. I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah,
he's still a commander.
Philly Mike OG might have some inside intel. I'm not getting any breaking news on the normal sources.
No, I'm not seeing anything. He's still a commander. but that would be upsetting because, Patrick Mahomes needs another weapon out there. So that'd be appropriate.
That would be devastating if they got Terry McLaurin. I can't stand the Chiefs.
Yeah, but the AFC is going to run through Buffalo this year.
I agree. I've been thoroughly. I know that the Lewis household is a big Hard Knocks household. I've been thoroughly enjoying Hard Knocks with the Buffalo Bills.
You got Ray Davis, former Cat. You had.
Sorry, so Philly Mike saying Adam Scheffler just dropped that on X.
How have I not seen this? Let's see.
I like this
On
breaking
air.
news on Woody Lou Sports and You. Thank you, Philly Mike OG, but we can't confirm.
Are you sure that's not a make believe account?
Could be. We could be being hacked by the Chinese.
I'm not seeing it on Shefty.
Yeah. I'm not either.
I'm not seeing it. No.
Not confirmed. Terry McLaurin to the Chiefs. Not confirmed.
I want to talk about the Eagles' wide receiving room is now A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, John Mechie, and Johnny Wilson. Because the Texans just gave Mechie the Eagles.
That's stout.
Yeah, and I think the Eagles are going to be another. I mean, they're.
I don't see how they're gonna, unless they have a hangover. I think they're winning the NFC Championship.
They're the team to beat for sure.
Yeah,
and we'll do a deeper NFL deep dive.
Yeah, when we get closer, we still got 2 preseason games left.
What are you thinking about on college football though? We talked SEC, so we're leaning Georgia. ACC, are we just leaning Miami, but expected to be?
Clemson. It's Clemson. Clemson's going to win the ACC.
No, so it won't be Dabo. So I think ACC, I'm leaning Miami or SMU.
I'm going Clemson.
Okay. Big Ten, Ohio State, Penn State kind of decide that. It goes through those 2 schools.
I as much as I hate, I'm sorry we use that. We don't try not to use the word hate on Woody Lou Sports and You, but Penn State is what all the pundits are saying. But Big Game James, he hasn't done it, and until he does it, it's hard to pick them.
No, yeah, and James Franklin's in my Dabo Swinney bubble of coaches that I have such little confidence in. And Ryan Day was also there. I think last year helped him a lot trying to beat that. Yeah. But I think
USC might make a run. I think Lincoln Riley, this is his, I want to say 3rd season in LA. I think USC is I don't want to say dark horse, but watch out for them in the Big Ten.
In Big 12, are we committing to Texas Tech?
I think it's gonna be ASU. They just had the biggest. I think it's gonna be Arizona State.
Texas Tech just spent the most money in the transfer portal. So in theory, they should be roster.
In theory,
I like Iowa State as well.
I think it's going to be between Iowa State and ASU.
But by week 7, I'm going to be on such a BYU kick, I'll probably flip that vote.
Yeah, we're all about the Mormons.
BYU is, you can go ahead and lock them in to start off 9-0 and then just lose their last 3, but yeah, you can't overlook them.
And we'll talk about this in a later episode. I don't think you've watched it, Braxton, but I've been on Hulu. The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is a insane show. More on that later.
Yes, we need a whole show dedicated to that. Even though, Dan, can I say something and you just tell me if I'm right or wrong?
Please.
For as wild as that show is, I feel like that Taylor Frankie Paul girl is your kryptonite.
I'll neither confirm nor deny. Neither confirm or deny. She's nuts.
She is absolute batshit, but I think you might have a thing for her. I think that's your type.
I won't confirm or deny that.
You want her just to stress you out. You would love that. You'd love to welcome that into your apartment. You'd love it.
No comment.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll make my Heisman pick, and then we're gonna sign off. It's been a great episode. My Heisman pick is a homer pick. Go Irish, Jeremiah Love, running back, your 2025 Heisman Trophy winner.
All right. Go Irish.
Go Irish. All right, Braxton. This has been a fantastic episode. Any closing thoughts for our award-winning listeners?
Football's back, baby.
Football is back. We'll have more. All right. Thank you, everyone, as always, for tuning in, contributing in the chat. We got an all-time troll in Philly Mike OG. Welcome. Woody Lose Sports and you. Everybody, have a great week.
Bye.